This has got nothing to do with race or any one group of people. It really does not. This has to do with, I was contacted in mid-February by neighbors to the north who were not concerned about the fundraiser, but rather they were concerned about speakers to that fundraiser and some of the things that they had said, and were pretty concerning statements themselves. And they did not wish to have those speakers at the fundraiser, and had asked the event coordinators to come up with someone else that they could have come in to speak at their fundraiser, and that was not something that they were happy to have to do. So what they ended up doing was deciding that they were going to protest the actual speakers to the event. The timeline of that, I was contacted, I was not a coordinator of the peaceful protest at all. I was an invited speaker, as were several other elected officials. A couple of congressmen were there. A couple of women who were in fact concerned themselves, that are just private citizens, much the same as the audience members out here, that had some concerns about those speakers and bringing terrorists. We're speaking specifically about politicized Islam, the extremist element. Like I've said before, I actually have many Muslim friends. There are Muslims in our community. My kids played softball with them. We had our Little League, and we had like the winningest team, and we remain friends to this day. I have watched some of the things that they have had to contend with since the events of 9/11. Specifically, that week was a really hard week for many of them. They had to keep their kids home out of fear. Their businesses were being targeted, and I actually went to them because I knew them and I knew their hearts, and I knew that there was just no way that they would be involved in that kind of thing. So it had nothing to do with that. I responded to the concerns of the citizens of Yorba Linda, the concerns of other residents throughout Orange County, the concerns of the elected officials in that community, and knowing the things that I do know, I felt, yes, I do need to come forward. I think I made a mistake by not being specific in who I was speaking to and what I was speaking about. They had planned a peaceful protest for a set period of time. It was during the daylight hours. It was started an hour and a half before the fundraising event occurred. And it was a completely different end of the facility. We were nowhere near the actual building. Part of what was happening there was a call to make people aware. There was a lot of education that was taking place. I don't want to get into the specifics because I don't think that that's our purpose here. I think our purpose here is to make it clear that we're not advocating, and I was not advocating, violence against Muslims or anybody. So I'm not exactly sure what we can say other than what ended up happening was we videotaped the entire main stage event. Ours was outside, in the open. Anyone could attend. Anyone could attend. And there were many Muslims, not many, but there were several Muslims. There were all faiths actually represented in that audience. Mostly, as the Orange County Register reported on the 14th of February, the very next day, it was just like a 4th of July picnic environment. People had their lawn chairs, they had American flags, we sang patriotic songs, we did the Pledge of Allegiance. That was the sort of thing that was happening at the official peaceful protest. The city of Yorba Linda, I know, had gone to great lengths to ensure the safety of everyone there, in hiring additional police to be at the facility, had taped off the facility so that even those of us that were there, earlier in the day were not allowed in the building. Even to use the restroom, we had to go over to the field house. We were kept away from it for the safety of everyone. That was the purpose. Because there were so many other Americans that were so concerned about the keynote speakers, their backgrounds, the kinds of things that they have been advocating, all throughout the state, quite frankly, and throughout the nation. What happened over there near the building as people were coming in, I really can't speak to. Once I was on the stage, as you pointed out, I was on the stage when people were showing up. and we ended just about the time their event started. I gave an interview to Channel 7, which aired that night. I went home and had dinner with my family, which is where I would prefer to spend every Sunday. But I felt so compelled to help the residents in Yorba Linda who were so distressed by these two radical speakers that I felt that I needed to spend time there with them. And so I went to their support. And like I said, I have no idea what happened near that building. I wasn't there. Apparently, other folks that were not associated with the peaceful protest showed up over near the building and made their own comments. I did not see those until the actual videotape that you're talking about, the 5-minute clip that was produced by CARE, which is a PR arm of an organization, produced a clip and put it out 2.5 weeks later. It cobbled together what had happened during the day from the stage, along with what had happened in the evening, and showing families going in. I did not know until I saw that clip that those kinds of things were going on, or that anyone had stayed into the night. It just was bizarre to me that anyone would do that. And it was quite shocking to see what we saw as our call to protect America from those sorts of radical terrorist instigators and the messages that they deliver. Media was not allowed into that event, which I thought was bizarre. I've been to a lot of fundraisers in my life, and normally when you're having a fundraiser, you're really happy to have the media inside. It helps you promote your charity and helps get the message out so that more money can come into your charity, but they were not allowed in. So I don't know what happened inside there. And I think that that is a concern. I think if it had been an open event and we could have heard perhaps what was being said, there would have been two-way communication there. Ours was open and we taped it. That tape was taken and an hour and a half was edited down into a couple of 10 or 15-second sound bites, which really presented a very emotional image. We had emotion on our side too. And our emotional image was probably a little bit different. There's definitely a difference of opinion about what was going on there. Once that video came out, it did go viral, as most of you probably know. It was being pushed by a couple of organizations. And within a day, I was receiving death threats by people. Continued for 6 days to receive threats. That YouTube clip has since been taken down because of copyright infringements for the professional that had been out there shooting our footage that was misused. So some of that has died down. But the issue remains. The issue remains. What I think most Americans would like to see happen is that the American Muslims, which you are Americans, I see you as fully American. I can see it in your voices. I can hear it. I can see that you have a love for this country. Would look at those who wish to destroy our country from within.
Wow.
I think you just have no remorse feelings for what you're trying to justify. You're wrong, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to walk out because.
Thank you. Thank you. We're not into a discussion anymore.
No, I understand, and you know what? We're not. We've given our opinion. We're going to walk out. The reason this room is not full is because this was an emergency meeting. We will all be back on the 22nd. Thank you.
Bill, but before you leave, we have our opinions, and I just want you to know as a city. That's why we're sitting here this morning.
And we appreciate that.
Instigate having this meeting because we need to make a statement of how we feel on the dais up here about this whole incident. And we are, I can just show you the email that I've received in the last 3 or 4 days. I take it very, very seriously.
And we appreciate that, and we appreciate the sincerity of holding a special meeting. But the purpose of the special meeting was really not to justify and bring back 9/11. There's the 9/11. They're being prosecuted because they stood up and gave their feelings about Michael Oren, who's a war criminal, and now they're facing, and they're potential doctors and potential lawyers, and they're facing misdemeanors and felonies. So you are no different than them. You're
Okay.
justifying if you're
Okay,
trying to present
we're-
America
we've
in a
heard
bad
you-
way.
We've heard you say that.
All right, thank you.
We'll express ourselves as we go through this next week.
Okay, we'll be back on the 22nd.
I think a useful piece of our statement might be, as we go forward, that you made a mistake by not being specific.
Yes, I definitely did.
And I
should have
think
been
that,
specific in my
I think
comments.
that's a helpful, and I appreciate you saying it. It's something that contributed to a lot of what I would term misperception about Villa Park and this council.
So I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed. The views you have do not represent my views, I can certainly say that. And I have a feeling they don't represent the rest of our council members' views. I'm very sorry this happened. I feel terrible about it. Those are my comments for the moment.
It's unfortunate that she does not identify herself as a personal, as a citizen in her positions. It's up to us to be very clear that when we get into positions that are controversial, as this one is very much controversial, we've got to be careful about what we say, because in the end it comes back to bite us, and that's what's happening right now.
I think it's important to point out that the full extent of the peaceful protest and what had been put out in a 5-minute clip, as Bill pointed out, was spin. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but I think it's important to show that that somewhat misrepresents what was happening there. As elected officials, we are called upon to be leaders in the community. And sometimes there are issues that are so important that you just have to speak out about them. And information that had come to my attention was so significant and so serious and so far-reaching that I could not remain silent. Now, unfortunately, one of the reasons I was asked was because they know I'm an elected. The people want to have their leaders speak up for them. That's not to say that I think that the citizens of Villa Park feel any different about all of their neighbors. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I still have the right to freedom of speech, even though I'm elected.